So, have you ever wondered how the top brands just seem to crush it on YouTube time after time? Well, I'll tell you, it's not magic and it's not luck. It's a playbook. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're cracking open YouTube's official guide for brands and turning it into a simple, actionable blueprint you can start using, well, right away. Let's kick things off with what is probably the single most important idea in this entire playbook. It's right here. The game has totally changed. We've moved from an era of interruption, where brands just bought your attention, to an era of invitation, where you actually have to earn it. This is the new reality, folks.
So here's our game plan, broken down into 4 parts. First, we'll get into the why YouTube has so much cultural power right now. Then, we'll map out your strategy. After that, we'll dive into the creative secrets of making content people can't skip. And finally, we'll talk about how to get your work out there and, actually know if it's working.
All right, part 1, why YouTube matters now. Look, before we get into any tactics, we have to understand the huge cultural shift that makes YouTube such a powerhouse today.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Think about it. Old school TV advertising. It was a monologue, a one-way street broadcasting at you. YouTube is a conversation. It's totally dynamic. It's two-way. You, the user, are in the driver's seat. You pick what to watch, when to watch it, and you fully expect to be able to interact through comments and shares. It's not just a media channel, it's a whole cultural space.
Okay, section 2. Let's build your strategic blueprint. This part is absolutely crucial. It's all the planning that has to happen way before you even think about hitting record. It's about lining up what your brand wants to achieve with what your viewers actually care about.
So, how do you provide that value? Well, the playbook boils it all down to 3 main paths. You can inspire people with stories that connect on an emotional level. You can educate them with genuinely useful information. Or you can entertain them with a bit of humor or surprise. Your job is to find that sweet spot where what your brand is about meets what your audience is truly passionate about.
Now listen up, because this is probably the most powerful framework in the entire playbook, the Help Hub Hero Model. Think of it like a funnel. You start with help content. This is your always-on stuff, the videos that answer the questions your audience is already searching for. That brings them to your hub content. This is your regularly scheduled programming that gives them a reason to subscribe and stick around. And all of that builds up to your massive hero content, that big tentpole event that's designed to go viral and reach tons of people.
All right, now for the fun part. Section 3, creating unskippable content. The playbook lists 10 different principles, but we've boiled them down to the 4 absolute essentials for making stuff people genuinely want to watch.
And here they are. First, great content has to be shareable. It needs to spark some kind of emotional reaction. It's got to be collaborative, which means tapping into the power of creators who are already out there. It needs to be consistent, so your audience knows what to expect and when. And maybe most important of all, it has to be authentic. It just has to feel real and true to your brand.
Let's just double-click on collaboration for a second, because this is huge. This is not about just paying someone for a quick shout-out. No way. The playbook is super clear. It's about finding creators who are a natural, authentic fit for your brand and building a real partnership. Why? Because they've already built the trust and the community with the exact people you're trying to reach.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. You don't have to build an entire audience from scratch. Collaboration is the single most effective shortcut to finding people who are already passionate about your world and introducing your brand into their conversation in a way that feels totally credible. And that brings us to our final section: amplify, analyze, and win. Because, let's be honest, making amazing content is only half the battle. Now we've got to figure out how to get it seen and how to measure if it's actually making an impact. First things first, getting discovered. You have to remember, YouTube is the world's 2nd biggest search engine. And metadata, that's just a fancy word for your title, tags, and description, is how you talk to that search engine. This is not an afterthought, okay? It's the language you use to tell the YouTube algorithm what your video is about so it can show it to the right people. And when you want to put some fuel on that fire, you turn to paid promotion. The key tool here is the TrueView ad. In this format, it's a total game changer. Why? Because you only pay when somebody chooses to watch your video instead of skipping it. So you're not just buying impressions, you're buying the attention of someone who is genuinely interested. This slide shows you how it all comes together in what's called a virtuous circle. You use paid media, like a TrueView ad, to kickstart discovery for your owned media, which is your video.
When you do that right, it generates earned media. We're talking free views, shares, all that good stuff from an audience that's actually engaged. The playbook even points out that good campaigns often get at least one free earned view for every 2 paid views. Pretty cool, right?
So there you have it. We've walked through the entire blueprint. We talked about understanding the culture, building a real strategy with the Help Hub Hero model, making content that's unskippable, and then amplifying it in a smart way. The playbook gives you every tool you need, so the only real question left is the one that brings it all together. What are you going to build? What's your brand's big hero moment going to be?